Bleacher Report has 2 free agents that they think the Boston Celtics should pursue and bring on this team. We'll get into that and how they compare to the 2 guys on training camp deals, and will the Celtics actually bring them in? We also look at Luke Kornet praising Kristaps, Porzingis, and Al Horford on their center abilities, and Derrick White getting more reactions for not making the top 100. Welcome back to this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, but before we get into any Celtics content, I would like to say that 89% of our viewers are not subscribed, and we'd greatly appreciate it if you guys hit that big old red subscribe button and join the Celtics Digest family. Thank you guys so much for getting us to 1.5 thousand subscribers. We can't thank everyone enough that's already hit that subscribe button. But if you want to make sure that you get all your Celtics content daily on news, trades, post games, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as Celtics Digest will be providing you guys that throughout the whole regular season and playoffs. We're so excited for this season, and we know you guys are too. Can't wait to break it all down with you. But let's get into the news at hand first, which is Kornet praises our centers. And Kornet, we've seen have some issues playing some center in the preseason, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about how Luke Kornet is excited to have Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford as the 2 front court members. From the quote from Jay King, Luke Kornet describes the challenges of defending the Porzingis-Horford front court. Kristaps Porzingis is just an incredible offensive player, where the fact he just draws a lot of attention and it gets pretty difficult if he's on the court with those other guys. So especially as like a defensive center who is always trying to protect the rim, I think guarding against those guys ends up being a pretty difficult situation because they're always pulling you outside and will make you pay for it. So that's definitely a little bit of an adjustment, and I guess it's going to be kind of nice to have this challenge, me on the perimeter a little bit more, to have a little bit more reps of that, which I appreciate. Obviously, Luke Kornet, when he's talking about playing on the perimeter, he's talking about in practice guarding these guys of Kristaps, Porzingis, and Al Horford. And I think that actually is going to benefit his game. We've seen him play some backup center moments. He's looked good defensively, just not the greatest rebounder. We need him to attack the rim more. But if he can attack the rim, I think he could be a solid third center for the Boston Celtics. But let's talk about what he has to say about Porzingis and Horford, talking about how Kristaps, Porzingis, and Al Horford are not only great rim protectors, but they can also stretch out the floor and shoot the 3-ball, which is great. And obviously, we know with the NBA going to more of a 3-point game in the past years, obviously most people in the NBA, even centers, now can defend the 3 and shoot the 3. But there definitely are some centers that are still just paint protectors that just stick in the paint. And guys like that are going to have lots of difficulties guarding both Horford and Kristaps Porzingis. They might have to run smaller lineups versus the Boston Celtics, or might have to run a guy who's not as great on defense just to stick with the guy on the outside, and that could help out the Boston Celtics in other ways. And I think that this is great for the Boston Celtics, having 2 big men that can both stretch the floor and paint protect as equally as they can do each other. Now, let's look more onto Derrick White and more reactions to the Derrick White snub of him not making the top 100. I know that Josh and I have both gone off about Derrick White not making the top 100 and have talked about how D'Angelo Russell even yesterday was saying that he wants to mimic his game like Derrick White and learn how to play like him defensively, which is great and huge news to hear, as Derrick White isn't a top 100 player. He's not someone that's going to get recognized. So having another NBA player of his caliber actually saying, like, I want to play more like him, and a guy that's not that great defensively, is great to hear. But we have some more reactions coming from JJ Redick. Of these 150 people who claim to be basketball experts, how is Derrick White not in the top 100? Redick asked Nikas Duncan and Stephen Jones of the Dunker Spot. How is that possible? He's a top 50 player. What playoff games were you watching last year? Oh my god. Redick went as far as saying that the ESPN's decision to leave him off the list was a troll for engagement, and if that's the case, then it worked to perfection. And I have to agree with JJ Redick on this point. I definitely think that this was a troll. ESPN does this all the time. They'll put players out that they think are going to do super well, just that have high names, so people will click and react to their list. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama is going to be a great NBA player, but he is not top 50 in the NBA if he hasn't even played a game yet. There are things that they put on that list to just get clicks, and Derrick White was obviously one of the guys left out, as he's not mainly one of the big 4 on the Celtics. They probably felt they could take him off that list and no one would really care, but the true Celtics fans and the true NBA fans know what he can bring on the defensive side of the ball and know what he can bring for this team offensively. If Joe Mazzulla could believe in him to be the starting point guard for this team after trading Marcus Smart before getting Jrue Holiday, that goes to show you that this team has a lot of confidence in this guy, and that Jrue Holiday Derrick White was our third or fourth best player already when we had Kristaps Porzingis, and he definitely would have been on this list if we didn't get Jrue Holiday. So I think that ESPN just kind of wanted to put him off on the side and kind of forget him. But Derrick White's not worried. Don't worry. He thinks it's great that all these people are reacting to it, and I think it's just a motivator for him to become a better player for the Boston Celtics this season, and I can't wait to seize that, as I'm a big fan of Derrick White, and I'm high on his impact for what he can bring to the Celtics team this year. But let's get into the last part of news today, guys. We'll be talking about free agents that the Celtics could bring in. And this is from a report from Bleacher Report on an article where they talked about 10 free agents that are still available. Now, the Celtics have 13 guaranteed roster spots already filled, where they have 2 spots available. They have Lamar Stevens and Wenyen Gabriel on training camp deals, which means that if the Celtics want to sign them to a guaranteed deal after the preseason, they can, but the Celtics could let go of guys like Lamar Stevens and Wenyen Gabriel, just like that at the end of the preseason if they wanted to sign some other guys that were available. Personally, I think that they'll keep Lamar Stevens. I think he's earned his role on this Celtics team. And tonight we'll see from the preseason game how Wenyen Gabriel does, as Wenyen Gabriel's gotten some minutes, but mainly just late in the fourth quarter. We haven't been able to see what he can produce for the Celtics team. I would like to see him get some more minutes. But let's look at the 2 guys that they are talking about in these articles. First, we're going to be talking about Blake Griffin. Obviously, the Celtics would love to Blake Griffin back. He was a third center for the Celtics last season, played in some back-to-backs when Al Horford needed some rest. And obviously, I'm not blowing any smoke, as good as it gets. President of Basketball Operations Brad Stevens told the Boston Globe, Gary Washburn, about Griffin, while also allowing the player possibility of retirement. He was unbelievable while he played, and even better when he didn't. If he decides to keep playing, he wants to come back out east. He knows we're a phone call away. What that shows to me is that the Celtics want Blake Griffin back, and they would use him as their third center, possibly over a guy like Wenyen Gabriel. But from what the new rumors and from the news that we've seen, guys, I believe that Blake Griffin is considering retirement. I think he would have already signed with the Celtics and locked up his center deal. And we've heard even reports that Blake Griffin could sign maybe halfway through the season. And I don't think that's worth it for the Boston Celtics. I think that's just too much drama, too much nonsense. If Blake Griffin, if you want to retire, retire. But if you want to go chase that bag and just become a veteran center on a team, don't try to do it with the Boston Celtics, because we actually need centers that can actually play. We don't want you just sitting in a retirement home on our bench. But the next guy that we're going to be talking about that the Bleacher Report says that we could possibly get, I don't mind the Celtics pursuing, and that is TJ Warren. Obviously, TJ Warren has had some better times in the NBA, doing really good in the bubble, but in recent years with injuries, he just hasn't been the same TJ Warren. And obviously, Boston did already meet with him this offseason and had him work out with guys like Lamar Stevens and Wenyen Gabriel. They just haven't given him the call back. And Bleacher Report says Boston has no shortage of scoring options in the starting lineup, but a second string comprised of Payton, Pritchard, Derrick White, Sam Hauser, Oshae Brissett, Luke Kornet, Wenyen Gabriel, Lamar Stevens isn't exactly inspiring. And I'm not going to lie, I have to disagree with that. As we've seen from the preseason, Payton Pritchard's been one of the best scorers for the Boston Celtics bench. Derrick White is playing phenomenal on defense again. Guys like Sam Hauser, yes, have had some streaky nights, but Svi Mykhailiuk has looked brilliant for the Boston Celtics. A guy like Brissett and Stevens are managing their roles. This Celtics team doesn't need 20-point-per-game scorers, and I think Bleacher Report is trying to make TJ Warren seem like that. TJ Warren is not like that anymore. TJ Warren would basically be Oshae Brissett or Lamar Stevens, and I think the Celtics, the reason they haven't signed him yet is because of his injury history. I think that guys like Lamar Stevens and Oshae Brissett are a little bit younger, a little bit healthier, and they can show a little bit more promise and actually growing compared to a guy like TJ Warren, who's just going to be a veteran bench wing, who's going to play 15 minutes a game and be a solid defender. But if we already have younger guys that are doing that role, I don't think the Celtics realistically need them. So let me know in the comment section down below, do you guys think the Celtics should sign Blake Griffin or TJ Warren, or do you guys think that they should keep the guys of Lamar Stevens and Wenyen Gabriel and sign those 2 contracts? If those guys aren't guys that you are looking at, let me know who you guys want as the final 2 roster spots on the Celtics as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys haven't hit that subscribe button already and you're still at this point in the video, make sure to tap that subscribe button, hit that like button. We appreciate all your guys' comments from Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. Can't wait to catch you guys in the next video. We'll have a double upload today going over the preseason game of today. So make sure to stay tuned in for that later tonight. Have a great rest of your day, guys.